Oh! Bro. Yeah, this build, this build is a problem. What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Gakis, and today we are going to be showcasing the most broken, the most overpowered build in all of Destiny 2 right now. And I know there's a lot of build guides out there called broken that may not be so broken. That is not the case here. That is not hyperbole. It is literally broken. It is literally overpowered. This is the build that the world's first Equilibrium dungeon team used to clutch their world's first position. Guys, this build is doing absurd damage numbers, and frankly, the reason I didn't talk about this sooner is because I expected it to get nerfed. But in the most recent weekly update, not only did Bungie not say anything about this, but they actually said they're going on holiday break. So you might be in the clear to rock this absurd build all the way into 2026, and so let's get started. Now, first off, I've partnered with Mobalytics, your source for Destiny 2 builds. If you want to see this build laid out in an easy to read, easy to understand format, including dim links so you can just copy it over to your account, click the link in the description down below after you watch the video, of course, so you know how this build functions. Alright, so this build is going to be a Void Warlock build. Let's take a look at exactly what you need. First and foremost, our exotic armor is the Controverse Hold. This is absolutely required. Now, this has Chaotic Exchanger, which says you resist incoming damage while charging your Void Grenade with Chaos Accelerant. Charged Void Grenades return grenade energy on hit and apply Weaken. So, because we're using the Controverse Hold, if we look at the subclass here, we have to use Chaos Accelerant, which allows us to charge said Void Grenades. Now, you can see there's a bunch of different effects you get for using different grenades. We specifically are using the Magnetic Grenade, and that right there is the main combo. Magnetic Grenade plus Chaos Accelerant plus the Controverse Hold equals absurdly broken levels of damage. For whatever reason, this last effect here, where Magnetic Grenade and the other few grenades basically give you the handheld supernova effect, that is what is doing so much damage. It is like damage chunking bosses where suddenly a quarter of their health just disappears. The numbers appearing on your screen are pretty absurd as well. That is the combo. Now, you can see this combo being used to great effect in the background gameplay. You are one-shotting these behemoths. You are nuking the dungeon bosses. By the way, if you're wondering, how are you getting your grenades back so fast on these dungeon bosses? You're not getting any kills, you're just hitting them. Well, what we're doing is that we have two people running the very build I'm going to show you in this video, and then the third person is just popping their Song of Flame super at the beginning of the damage phase to provide us with more ability regeneration. All the damage really is just coming from the Controverse guys. But regardless, presumably this may work with some of the other grenades like Void Wall, but I can just 100% confirm it does work with Magnetic Grenade, so just use that one. Now, in terms of the rest of our subclass, we have Cataclysm, so we have this big DPS super, and then we're absolutely spamming our DPS grenades. It's just incredible. We absolutely want a Healing Rift. We are going to require that for a lot of the damage phases, just a little bit of extra survivability. We have Pocket Singularity, obviously, and then for our second aspect, Feed the Void. This will give us Devour when we defeat a target with a Void ability or grenades. So, you are casting nuclear bombs for your grenade, and then when you do kill an enemy with said nuclear bomb, you get healing and you get more grenade regen, which is exactly what we want. Oh, and also we get an additional grenade, I should mention, from Chaos Accelerant, so we have 2 nuclear bombs in our arsenal. All right, now as for the fragments, first of all, Echo of Expulsion. This will make our Void ability Final Blows cause targets to explode. Everything's going to be exploding with this. This is the one I'm least sure about. I really do like the +10 super. You could switch it to Echo of Instability to give your Void weapons volatile rounds. I think that's also quite good. But this is kind of a flex slot. Then we have Echo of Persistence, a bit less of a flex slot in my opinion. This will give your Void buffs, so Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour mainly, increased duration, so just more consistency with keeping our Devour up. Then we have Echo of Vigilance, which goes very well with Persistence, where if you defeat a target while your shields are depleted, you get a Void Overshield. So this build doesn't have a ton of damage resistance, it does have a ton of healing, and so getting a bit of an Overshield, a bit of an extra piece of survivability can really help you in certain situations. And then finally, we have Echo of Harvest. Defeating weakened targets creates an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. Pretty much everyone we defeat is going to be weakened, and again, remember, that is because your Controverse Hold will actually always make your Void Grenades weaken when you charge them, right? So we don't need that fragment to cause the weaken. Alright, so as for our weaponry, guys, what are we using? Well, I'm going to be honest here. Your weapons are just kind of... they're just kind of there, all right? You frankly do not shoot your weapons very much with this build because, again, you're dropping nuclear bombs on everyone you throw a grenade at. But some things that go well with this build, honestly, the Praxic Blade. And the reason is because you can have the Praxic Blade out and be using your grenades. Like, you're almost never using your melee with this build, if I'm being honest. So getting that massive grenade, causing that weaken, and then coming in with your Praxic Blade, causing even more weakens if you have Impact Core is just fantastic, guys. The Praxic Blade by itself is just incredibly powerful. Now, I'm also using Offensive Form for the most damage, Forceful Blade, same reason, and just Echoing Blade because sometimes I want to do a ranged attack, and this can hit like quite a few enemies. Now, after that, I will say a good weapon with this build is the High Tyrant, because you get Demolitionist in the left, plus Frenzy. Master of Arms would be good as well, but just one weapon, I would highly recommend one weapon with Demolitionist, just in case stuff goes wrong, right? You're going to charge your crazy grenade to throw it at an enemy, and then your teammate kills that enemy. Well, then you miss out on the kill, you miss out on the Devour activation, you miss out on the grenade regen, and then it can maybe take a while to get your grenade back. And so just having that Demolitionist backup plan is a good idea. Now, after that, Hammerhead, because it's a good Void weapon. Using double Void weapons lets us, if we switch over to the armor mods here, use stuff like Harmonic Siphon, which is more synergistic. But I will say before we get on to the armor mods, talking about the armor itself, you want as close to 200 grenade as you possibly can. This will influence how much damage your, I'm going to say it again, nuclear bombs do against enemies. So obviously, if you can get as close to 200 as possible, that's just more grenade damage. After that, probably just super. If you can get over 100 super, that's going to impact your Cataclysm Nova Bomb. And then after that, probably just like your weapons. I wish I had a bit more weapons here. I'm stuck right around 100, but that is still going to help me deal with those red bars and stuff maybe I don't want to waste my grenades on, and is just going to improve my reload speed. But after that, guys, in terms of those weapon mods, we've got double Ashes to Assets. This is going to really help with the neutral gameplay of this build. It means that, I mean, you're throwing your grenades so much, and now you're just getting tons of Cataclysm Nova Bombs on top of that, which is crazy. And then, like I said, a Harmonic Siphon for our Void weapons. After that, for our Gauntlet here, we have the Grenade Font for the missing plus 20 grenade to get me to 200. Obviously, if you actually have 200 grenade, you don't need this. But if you're having troubles getting to 200 grenade, you can easily have 2 grenade fonts, and if you can reach 160 grenade, you're good to go. Then I also have a heavy-handed, obviously, because I want my grenades to be making orbs of power. I do have a bolstering detonation. This is really going to help because I have a low class stat. We still want our healing rifts every once in a while, so that is going to ensure that I have a pretty consistent flow of rifts, because I'm getting so many grenade kills. That's refunding my ability, class ability. After that, guys, for the chest piece, it's whatever resistance is based on the activity you're doing. Then for the legs here, well, I've got a kinetic weapon surge for the Praxic Blade, and then a void weapon surge for the other weapons, and then a recuperation here. Now, you can probably sub out one of these for absolution if you want, or innervation if you want even more grenades. It's kind of up to you. Then finally, for the bond here, we've got a time dilation for really just more uptime on our font. And then we've got a powerful attraction to suck in orbs when you use your class ability. And finally, a bomber. Again, it's like oh no, something's gone wrong, I don't have a grenade ability, you can pop your class ability, get a chunk of grenade back right away, use your demolitionist weapon as like a fail-safe to get back to your grenade. Now, I will say, guys, if you can get a 2-piece Ferropotent, this is amazing. Like I said, we actually don't have a ton of damage resistance with Void subclasses in general, actually, but this one specifically. And so just a 2-piece Ferropotent is going to, when you start regeneration of your shields, give you 10% damage resistance, guys. But it counts regeneration from any source, which means, yes, the regeneration you get from Devour will trigger Ferropotent. So arguably Ferropotent is like one of, if not the best armor sets in the entire game right now, certainly for the 2-piece. So if, again, you can actually get that going, it's just going to give you a noticeable increase in survivability. And finally, we have our seasonal artifact perks. So as for the important ones, we have Gravitic Voltaic Charge for an extra stack of armor charge. Then we've got Elemental Siphon for more elemental pickups. We do have Kinetic Synthesis, super good if you're using the Praxic Blade. You're just always going to have ammo. Then we have Riposte, because again, we're using the Praxic Blade sword. We have Power from Pain. Rapid Final Blows against weakened combatants grant you Devour, just another way to get Devour. And so this means if we kill a bunch of enemies with our Praxic Blade and they're all weakened because of Power Core, we don't actually have to get an ability kill sometimes to trigger Devour. And again, very good if you don't have any abilities, you wasted your grenades, you missed, it will get you your grenade back a lot faster. After that, we have Combination Argent Blade, just more sword damage. Then we've got Singularity Blade. When you have a Void Elemental buff, Devour, your sword hits Weaken, extremely good, and we're really just using it for the weakening burst here, guys. Then Sword Storm combo. This is amazing. If we have Praxic Blade, we just get a few hits, and then there's whirling blades around us that basically blind enemies nearby. And then finally, Void Infestation. Defeating a weakened target spawns a tracking projectile that weakens other targets. Now, this version of the build is by far the most consistent, but you can do stuff like, for example, if you're relying on your Singularity Blade to make your Praxic Blade always weaken, because you just are going to get weakened for Devour, you can go and switch off Impact Core, maybe go with Refraction Core, so now your thrown Praxic Blade hits will weaken. And now you have weakening for hitting, weakening for throwing. Again, things can go wrong and it becomes more inconsistent, but yeah, you have a lot of options to kind of really min-max the power of this build. But guys, at the end of the day, it is charging up your magnetic grenades with Controverse, yeeting them, and winning. That is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.